Hello everybody, today I'm going to share with you a very important subject. It is your ghost mind, right? It is past client and sphere of influence, working with the people that you know, that trust you, that your service, right? That you build a good working relationship through service and grow your business. I remember, when I came to America in 1993 from Vietnam. So I came to the US in May 1993, but then I started the real estate business in 1998, right? That's when I first got my license and started the business. So first year I didn't sell a whole lot, because I didn't know a lot of people here. So I end up have to going out there, doing the customer acquisition, doing lead generation through, knocking on door, talking to the neighborhood, talking to the client, and letting people know that, property assets are for sale in the neighborhood and asking for referral, because it also, it's also a productive way, also working with expired listing, expired asset that listed on the market that they haven't, for any reason, whether marketing condition, location, or the broker that represented the project, but the represented asset, for any reason, it didn't get the job done. So I got to go in and apply for a job of being the client, right? Being the client representative. So we did that, working with client for sale by owner, whether it leasing by owner, rental by owner, or listing the property on the market and helping them, show them the plan of how to do it. So I really working with, because I didn't know a soul here in Seattle, Washington, US. So I have to end up working with, a lot of people that I do not know, right? So because it also, in business, either it's only two type of group of people that we're working with. Either people that we know and people that we don't know, right? And so today I'm going to share with you what would it take to working with people that you know. And the database, the list, right? The customer, face it, as a professional in services business, in my case, in your case, with you in commercial real estate, you in residential real estate, you do not have the, you do not have the asset that you own, that you sell. It's not like restaurant, it's not like other business, they have their own asset, own business, in order to sell the product. But you in the service business, what is the most important for you? Your customer, right? Your database. And so how that database working for you? So after when I started in 1998, it's been like a couple of decades ago, because I didn't know anybody, so I have to end up doing the hard way, going out and chasing and and adopting, prospecting, working, presenting, persuade people that working with me. And it's also it's also a hard way, to earn the business. But as the business grow, you build up the database. So I'm right here in Seattle, Washington, and look at it. I used to own Windermere Real Estate, which we do about 28 to 30% of the total market share right here in Seattle, Washington. So that will be back in 2004, 2005. It seemed like 14, 16 years ago. So my office is located on located on 1224 South Weller Street in Seattle, Washington 98144. It's right next door at Amazon. That's the original Amazon headquarters. It's located on at the Pacific Building in Beacon Hill, right? So we're a block next door. So I look at the Amazon concept of customer centric, and how to get the customer to buy more from you, and so a few blocks away is the that from my office, from my Windermere office, is Starbucks. So Starbucks and Howard Shaw, how they build a branch is how they build their brand. On an average, the customer of Starbucks coming back to the store on a 17 time on an average, according to the study, right? So if you really look at the way that Amazon company and Starbucks be able to attract customer and keep customer from coming back to their business. And sometimes we in the real estate business, and we build our business, so I share with you many components that you can build business, right? It's an 18 way that you can find business, but the most important component is your database, right? Your past customer that you're working with, right? And I call that the gold mine. Face it, right? In Seattle, Washington, like for example, the average single family home over here, it probably be about $700,000, right? So if making the phone call to a customer, providing the value, and be able to get a referral, that is really a great way to get business, right? So sometimes we're so busy, and then we don't contact our client and get how much revenue we lose. It's just because we don't work on our most important client, right? So I wrote down here that you don't hesitate to call the one that you haven't spoken for a while, because they haven't waiting for your call, right? I have a client in Moshe Island, Washington, and we have a transaction that closing, and so there's some haywire thing that go in the transaction, and so I haven't, so I feel that I wasn't providing her with the best service, and when I work. This was like 10, 12 years ago, and I thought that she not happy with me, so I didn't call her, right? So and one day it's been for a while, and then when I pick up the phone and call her, she's so happy, and she's so happy that I call her, and she wanted to send her referral, her client, her friend to me, right? So it really no matter what happened in the transaction, call your past client, right? And talk to them. So and for those that have staff that working with you, and have your staff develop their sphere of influence list. I know that some of us, we have we build a team, we build a company, and we have the staff that working for for the company. So every team member, every staff, should have their own sphere of influence, right? So that's the first one that you can add on into your data, into your your company database or your team database, right? So 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 the 10% rule, right? The 10% rule in the business, meaning that the gold mine, the 10%, which is like 10% of your database, of your past customer, your sphere of influence, will give you a business every single year, but you have to act for it, right? So, you know, over over 22 years in the real estate business, I have some past clients, right? And I recently make conscious decision that because I've been doing a lot of development and investment, as we are currently doing over 1,200 units of multifamily development and running a regional center, and running the fundraising program. So I haven't really talking to my past client that much, but when I pick up the phone and call my past client, they are so happy that I call, and sometimes they think that, oh my God, where have you been? I thought that you're doing some big business and forget about me, right? It's a conversation like that, but like you have to really act for it. I actually I spoke to multiple entrepreneurial business owners, right? And what one of my friends, see one of my friend, also my past client, she owned a restaurant, right? She owned a restaurant. So she calling her past client, people that she know, to come and support her restaurant. I know we in the pandemic right now. Restaurant is only can take 50% of occupancy, whether you do take out or you do a dining in. But for her, her core business, because she look at her database, her past client like a gold mine, right? Somebody will come and support her. So let me ask you a question: who support your business, and how often you talk to them? How often you communicate with them? How often you providing value item, value information for your past client? How do you keep yourself in front of your past client and let them support your business, right? So 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 I wrote down, you have to really treating your past client, your gold mine, your sphere of influence database, because they are the access that allow your business to grow, right? So as a professional real estate commercial brokerage, at a productive productive agent, running the real estate like a business, like a company, they have asset, right? And they have a product. I know a couple friend of mine in Los Angeles. She own like 8,600 Panda Express. So she opened all this store all over the shopping center across the country. So that the asset for the business owner. So in the service business, right? What is your asset? That's your database, my friend. That's your gold mine that you have to treat it, with the respect, right? Because they are the access. Your asset is your database. Face it. You don't own the home. You don't own the building. You do not own the shopping center. You do not own the office building complex, right? You do not own all that. But so what do you own, right? Your database. It is your asset, right? So you have to, treat it like an asset that allow your business to grow, right? So I wrote down another strategy that if it is a gold mine, right? If it's a gold mine, now if you're gonna have like 1,000 people on your database, I do have a lot of business myself, because I've been in business for so long, right? And I know that my past client is supporting me and helping me to grow, right? But we have to speak, but I have to talk to them. So the strategy that I wrote down is you must speak to your past client and the sphere of influence at least 4 times a year, right? So how do we do that? We set up automated mailing system that's sending out postcard, sending out valuable information, valuable item to your customer on a regular basis, right? And then, for those that you need to make a phone call contact to your client, you do that 4 times a year. You can use the voicemail to broadcast, or you use video, right? You use video like bomb video. You use any technique, any way that you can keep yourself in front of your customer. I would say you call them 4 times a year, send them, send them postcards, send email. You again, stay in touch with your, stay in touch with your database, right? So send information, send a note, send a postcard 4 times a year. And it's something like, I just want to reminding you that, okay, you gotta stay in touch and contact your client. So I done over 3,000 transactions in the past, right? As you know. And so if I want to do real estate, I want to do like, I like to do it in high volume because I want to help a lot of people. I get addicted to like being productive and helping more people, and the income will follow that. So if you, for example, like let's say that I am in Seattle, Washington. If I set a goal to help 100 clients, getting the deal done for 100 clients, right? So then I need to have like 1,000 past client and sphere of influence and the database. So remember we talked about the 10%, because 10% of them is equal to 100 transactions. But think about this one though, you got 1,000 people database and 10% is gonna give you a referral, that's 100 transactions. And what would be the average fee? Average broker fee on 100 transactions, right? You take average home price at about 700,000, times it by 3%, 21,000 per fee per transaction, times 100, right? That's 2 million. Now let me ask you this question. Are you okay with helping 100 people and make $2 million? Right? That's pretty good. So think about that. So I got a lot of people in, builder and developer and investor, and to be able to earn the type income like a top, 10% of the people in real estate, that's pretty awesome, right? So always make a phone call with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, right? So because your client, I understand it is the pandemic, so a lot of things that's going on. It's very negative, It is, we're in the middle of the the global health crisis, and then we have a lot of, things that happen in our community, right? So, but if you making the phone call, to your client, call with a lot of energy, with a lot of enthusiasm, but don't bring any negative into your phone call, with your client. So to build a business, you always adapt. You're working with the seller, you're working with the buyer, right? And I always say that you have the process. It's called, the before, during, and then after, right? Call them on the closing day, right? Call them after 7 days after the transaction is closed. Close them out, call after, 2 months after. And how do you set up the way that you can communicate, right? So I wrote down that we have to be very specific about when we asking for referral. If we expecting to get referral from them. So I have a client, in Bellevue, right? Who's somebody that purchased somebody purchased a home, and I also helping them with purchase a shopping center, right? I help them with investment. I purchased a distressed asset, a shopping center, and then we convert that into a very, we remodel, we convert a really nice shopping center. So so it's not about the type of service that we're providing, but that's a good client that I serve, that I help, right? But the thing is that I call the client, I ask for, I ask directly, I ask how do they feel about the service, and they say it's great, So I ask them if they be able to. I tell them that I have the aggressive goal that I want to have 100 clients a year, right? So I ask my client if I can count it on them to get me 4 to 5 clients. So get what? They send me 4 or 5 clients, or they send 2 clients. But you have to ask, you have to be very specific about what you asking, right? So really on the database, you have to look and say, determine, who on your database that give you the highest number of referral, when you contact them monthly, right? Who on your database, and then, consider your database, creating like a database, right? A customer, right? And then B customer, so the A customer, you contact them every 30 days, and the B customer, you probably be contacting them every 90 days, right? So who is going to be on the A customer? I know this one, you always have a group of customers that helping you, right? That supporting you, that you're gonna have those type of customers. When I started the business, I have a client named Vui. She owned a nail salon. I'm sorry, she owned a hair salon in Mosher Island, and Vui is always helping me. She always sending me clients on a regular basis every single month. Matter of fact, she take my business card and she take my flyer of the listing that I sent her. She put that in her store, right? And I have another client. He's an engineer, working for for the aerospace in Redmond. He would bring my information, my flyer to his company and post that in a lunchroom, and he go around and share with everybody that my real estate my real estate agent, this guy helping me with the property, right? Back in the day when I just started business. So you're gonna have like a customer list, right? So determine who that customer that's gonna send you the most referral, right? And then you keep building on that, right? So asking for the client for referral while they are the present instead of waiting for the transaction to close. This is when you have the highest level of relationship, and they have the highest interest discussing the real estate need with you, right? So while you performing your job, service the client, whether it's going to be a listing, whether it's going to be a purchase, this is your opportunity to ask for a referral from your present client. I talked in the advanced business workshop before that you have the process it's called like before, during, and the after. What is your process of the before? What is your process during the time that you serve your client with, right? And then what would be the after closing transaction with your client? So come into the advanced business workshop that we're going to share with you, idea and strategy of how to work your database. So I wrote down the best opportunity for the referral. You're going to get it right after you sign the contract with your client. Right? This is the best opportunity. You ask for referral right away, right? So if you are not gonna call your client, right? If you don't call your client, you don't providing value item on a regular basis, and you don't ask for referral, then you remove those you remove those clients from your database. You know, don't be struggle calling the people that you don't want to talk to, or don't want to talk to, or they don't want to talk to you, right? So, when you talking to the client, bring value to the call, right? You know, with everything going with the economy, with things that are going on with commercial real estate, with the size of the declining and changing in our marketplace. Think about the customer, right? Even like a lot of my past clients, they wondering, with all the things that changing, right? What would be the value for their own asset that whether they own apartment, whether they own retail, or they own their own home. They wanted to know what the value would be, So, you know, so what do you do to bring the value to the call, right? So, what happened in the marketplace, right? In terms of supply, demand, trend, mortgage financing, bring value to the call and make your communication with your client more fun and creating a better communication with them, right? So in terms of talking those people, you have to work with them so often, and so they can, you call you call your client, right? You call your client and continue to asking for referral, right? So remember, they're not waiting for your phone call, right? So don't be disappointed that they don't respond the call as quickly as you want, right? So people are busy. People busy with their kid, busy with their business, busy with their work. So if you don't call them, they're not gonna waiting for your call. And so, I coaching one of my entrepreneur in the past, and he came into the office and talked to me and say, he disappointed that his client is, end up, listed and choosing other people to list and represent their property. But then the question here I ask, I ask my student is, have you stayed in touch with your client? The answer is no, right? So if you don't in touch with them, they're not waiting for your call, right? So how do they know your need, which is, growing your business and helping more people, right? So you always have to stay in front of your customer and don't be so disappointed that your customer go with somebody else and get who losing, right? Get who losing business, get who losing, revenue, get who losing the opportunity, to work with the past client, you, right? Get who losing money, you are, because you are not staying, in touch with your past client. So be very consistent, right? And bring value to the call, right? So to build a past client and sphere of influence, ask everybody that you do business for business in return, right? If you're gonna work with, if you think about like who can send, sit down and look at your database, right? Whether it's from your phone, your Excel list, or, who do business with me that can provide business in return, when I started the business, right? After a few years of building the past client and the database, I call my lawyer, I call my lawyer and say, I call my doctor, I call my CDA, I call my mechanic, I call the people that, to ask that I do business, to do business in return, right? So really, you really have to look at that, people are wanted to help you, but you have to act for it, right? So building a reputation among the people that that you are the real estate resources, right? So it take time to build your brand. It take time to build, that reputation that be the real estate resources. But it's worth it, right? So when you working with the, for example, at our advanced business workshop training, right? Work training, professional, real estate professional, how to get, how to get your business about, 60 to 40%, right? So what did that mean? So the we teaching professional how to have your listing inventory, listing sold versus buy a control sale would be like a 60-40%, right? So guess what? If your listing gonna be, your listing ratio, your listing appointment to listing contract, gonna be improved if you're gonna work with your past client and your if you're gonna work with your database, your sphere of influence, right? So that that's what I share with you today, and I hope that you can walk away from this class today, this information, that you can apply this golden nuggets idea into your business, right? And then you continue to really look at your database and look at this as an asset, and so that you can really get it more out of this, the database, and it's a gold mine. So so with that, I appreciated your taking the time, to listen to the program today, and have a great one. Thank you.